Hey everybody, this is James from CasualPhotophile.com, where I just published an article about how to develop black and white film at home. Now, using that article and this supplementary video, you should be able to turn black and white film into black and white negatives. That's good stuff, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is lay out all the equipment that you will need in an orderly fashion. That's obviously going to include the film to be developed, but also a pair of scissors, the film leader retrieval tool, the developing tank, the spirals, the chemicals, and your changing bag. Now, once everything is set up, you're going to want to get to work on preparing your film. Now, your film leader retrieval tool should have come with instructions. It's a pretty easy thing to use. You just insert it into the canister, pull out the rear tab, rotate the film spool counterclockwise until you hear an audible click, then rotate it clockwise until you feel resistance. You push in the rear tab, grab the whole tool, and extract it from the canister. It should bring with it the film leader. After you do that, you're going to pull the film leader out just a little bit and cut the end of the film to a straight edge. The next step of the process needs to take place in an entirely light-free environment, so unless you have a totally sealed room, you're probably going to use a changing bag like the one we have here. Now you're going to want to insert everything into this bag that you're going to need to prepare your film for developing. That includes the film itself, the developing tank lid, the spirals that the film will be spooled onto, and the scissor to cut the film at the end of the process. Now remember, there are scissors in here, so when you insert your hands into the bag, don't get cut. And when you're using the scissors to cut the film, try not to cut off your finger. If you do cut off your finger, just discard the finger and continue on with the process. Now inside the changing bag, we're going to be spooling the film onto the spirals and then putting the loaded spirals into the developing tank, keeping in mind that we cannot expose the film to any light until it is sealed within the development tank. Now, it's a pretty easy process, but you can't see what's going on in there, so I'll show you now outside the bag on a dummy roll of film. Okay, now remember what you're seeing here is happening entirely in the changing bag, and what we're doing is probably the most difficult part of the entire process, and that is spooling the film onto the spiral. Now I'm using the stainless steel variety here. There is an easier to use plastic variety, but once you get the hang of it, this is pretty simple as well. 2 or 3 rolls of film in, you should know what you're doing. Basically, you want to clip the end of the film that you cut to the center of the spiral, and then rotate the spiral while pinching the edge of the film slightly so that it fits in between the coiled stainless steel wire. Now when you reach the end of the roll, you just cut off the canister, drop the spiral into the development tank, seal the tank, and you're safe to remove it from the changing bag. Now we move on to the next step. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is mix our chemicals. That would be a developer, a stop bath, and a fixer. Now the developer develops the film, the stop bath stops development, and the fixer makes the image permanent. You're going to want to mix these to the proper ratios as specified by your chemical manufacturer. Most of the time this information is found on the bottle, so just follow the instructions and you're good to go. I like to lay everything out going left to right in the order that I'm going to use these because I am kind of an idiot and would otherwise forget. Developer is on the left, stop bath is in the middle, and fixer is on the right. Once the chemicals are mixed and stirred, we're going to move to an area with a sink and running water and set up our timer. Development is about to begin. Okay, now we're ready to finally start developing some negatives. What you're going to want to do is first ascertain the development time based on the film that you're developing and the chemicals that you're using. Development times will vary. However, the general rules remain the same. We're going to pour in our developer, start our timer, and then agitate for the first minute of development. The agitation just ensures that developer coats every surface of the film and makes sure that we get uniform development. At the end of the first minute, just give the development tank a couple of taps to dislodge any air bubbles that may have stuck to the film. And then for every subsequent minute of the development time, we're going to agitate for 10 seconds. This part can be a little bit tedious, but it's worth it when you see the final results. Okay, and when we finally reach the end of the development time, we're going to remove the top cap, pour the developer down the drain, and pour in the stop bath. This will halt the development process, and we're going to agitate again for a full minute. Most manufacturers of stop bath recommend using it for about 2 minutes, so we do 3 for good measure. Once that's completed, we pour out the stop bath and pour in the fixer. This makes the image permanent, and once again we keep that in there for about 3 minutes, agitating for the first full minute. After just a couple of minutes, your images should be fixed and permanent. You can now open up your developing tank and expose the film to light without worrying that it will ruin it. Put the entire tank under running water and give it a final rinse for at least 5 minutes. Some manufacturers recommend 10 minutes. I do somewhere in the middle. After that, you can remove your film from the spirals and look at it for the very first time. Congratulations, you've just developed your first roll of black and white film. The only thing left to do is to attach film clips to the top and bottom, hang it up to dry, and then put it in negative sleeves. It should also be said that there are lots of ways to develop film, and everybody has their own personal preference. If you keep at it, you will inevitably come up with what works best for you. If you want more details, head to casualphotophile.com, where we've written a full walkthrough, and let us know how your first time developing film went. Thanks a lot, guys, and we will talk to you next time.